I've always had that feeling like I'm not worthy of being loved completely. And struggling with a lot of like my look, like I don't know, everything, man. And
Yeah.
I don't have that anymore.
Jules, here we are again, 2 years later, new album out, and as we're recording this, you are what, a day and a half at this point away from your first show of the upcoming tour, which is also your release date. You're basically running late right now for rehearsal, and that is because they make you do press with people like me. You know, they don't give you any slack. It's just non-stop working for you. Like, how are you doing?
Yeah, as you already said, we're jumping on tour in 2 days. And I have to excuse myself because I'm in front of a rehearsal room right now. This is why it's a little bit of crappier quality today. But yeah, we're already packing our merch, and it's a lot to do and a lot of chaos. But I'm excited. It's gonna be good to finally be back on stage. Yeah.
Now, just to kind of stay with that tour that you're going to be doing, you're doing that together with Rising Insane. It's a German tour, but you know, your first show is also your release date, so it's a special show. But are you gonna have? We all know how crazy the touring is, and especially the first day of a tour. But you're also gonna have to find some time to step away from everything, just to be on your phone, because today, you know, a release date is basically just being on social media all day and responding to people, sending your messages and what have you. So, dreading that chaotic Friday.
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy. We're gonna have a like 6-hour drive to the venue, and then I guess we're also doing an Instagram takeover somewhere, and it's gonna be chaotic, but also very cool. Of course, it's very cool to jump on tour on the same day as you're releasing an album, right? Because you can celebrate. And that's definitely what we're gonna do. So yeah, it's gonna be a lot. It's gonna be a lot. Probably after tour, I will be sitting on my couch like this for like 2 weeks straight. But yeah, it's very cool that it's the same day.
Now, the 6-hour drive to the venue. Let's start with one of the most serious questions that I can ever think of. You know, you're wearing a hat right now, or as we would say in Canada, a toque. But we never see you without that or your actual hat. That's become your trademark. So does the hat get its own seat in the van? What's going on?
Yeah, of course it does. I don't know. It's like, I don't know why I'm doing it. Ever since I'm a kid, I'm doing it. I always need to have something on my hat. I don't know. I'm a little insane at some point. But yeah, I get that asked a lot. The most asked question on tour is, how does the hat stay on my hat?
Of course, yes.
And yeah, I'm still looking for an endorsement for hairspray, because that would save me a lot of money.
On a more serious note, let's dive into this album. We'll talk about a bunch of stuff, and I know you've had to do a million of these interviews. If you prefer to talk about whatever, you just tell me. But let's make an attempt at having a serious conversation. Looking back, we talked a lot about how personal that album was for you. I think you even mentioned that, like, at the time your band was even saying that, hey, if you don't feel like putting this out, we totally get it, because you were very, very upfront and personal, dealing with depression. This is a little bit more the coming out on the other side. It's still dark, Bad Blood, but there feels like there's a little bit more hope here. Is that fair?
I'd say, like, in a specific way, because of course I'm not healed. Of course I'm still you know, dealing with depression and anxiety and panic attacks and all that shit, and that will never get away. It will always be a part of my life, right? But At some point, I managed to come out of this victim role and change perspective a little bit, and got into this mood, like standing up for yourself, being more self-confident. Also went through a lot of personal shit the past 2 years, and had to learn how to deal with shit talk and having people working against you and all that shit. So that really made me come out of it way stronger than I used to be. And I don't know, I kind of like have this attitude, like as Bad Blood pretty much says, like, you can do whatever you want, right? I'm 32, you can talk shit about me as much as you can spread lies and rumors about me as much as you like, but that's not gonna bring me down. And that made me very, like, tough. I managed to grow a very thick skin from that time, and that showed even in the songwriting, right? The riffing is more like straightforward. It's not like very heavy, and the choruses aren't really dragging you down. It's all like, you know, stuck in that position. You're more like, okay, I'm dealing with it, but I will move on. I will keep fighting. And that even shows in the instrumental, I think, and that's pretty cool because this is exactly how I'm feeling right now.
The overall, maybe slightly more positive vibe to this album, this whole album cycle, it's also, it just happens to align this entire cycle with your engagement as well. Do you feel that might have anything to do with it? Because, you know, speaking as myself, as a married guy, when I went through those emotions, it definitely did change my perspective on not just life, but who I was.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, of course, because it's the first time I actually feel safe. I feel like I do have a home where I can come back to, where I can also, where I can also break down, you know, because like in my previous relationship, I always had to hide it. Like I was told to not look that sad, to not act depressed, nothing's going on, you don't have the right to feel that way, stuff like that. So I was trying to hide that. And now I can completely let that go. I can be completely myself. I get supported so extremely loving, and that gives you such a strength because you know you have this anchor, you have this haven in your back, and you just, I don't know, it makes you feel stronger pretty much. Yeah, of course. And feeling loved for the first time, of course, also gives you a lot of strength because all that self-doubt and all that, you're not, I've always had that feeling like I'm not worthy of being loved completely, and struggling with a lot of like my look, like, I don't know, everything, man. And I don't have that anymore because I feel that for the first time. And that, yeah, I'd say that that's probably even the biggest point why I've changed my mood so much.
I couldn't help but notice that you refer to as your fiance or your relationship as an anchor point in that answer, and that just brings me back to knowing how many nautical things you have tattooed on yourself. We know you've got sink or swim and the compass and all that kind of stuff. There you go. Imagery is important to you. Symbolism is important to you, clearly. So I'm going to use that as a ridiculously forced segue to, with this release, we've also started seeing a new, well, not a new logo, but a new symbol for the band. Now, obviously built out of some of the letters of the name of the band, but I have a feeling there's more to it than that. So what are all the layers of meaning in this new symbol for you?
Yeah, we were playing around with this for a long time. Like we felt like the old one doesn't really fit the vibe of the band anymore. Yeah, and we came up with this C. I don't know how to say it in English, but the symbol, like, yeah, it does have something like ocean. Like, of course, I mean the name, you know.
There is a bit of a ship feel to it when you look at it. I mean, that was my interpretation.
Oh, yeah. But... Okay. Yeah, I see it now. Yeah. We were just playing around and we came up with this, or a designer came up with this, and I don't know, somehow it made me feel so much better about it because it fits the entire vibe and it looks a bit more fresh and like, I don't know. I have to lie now. I don't know the exact meaning why we chose this specifically, but yeah, if you say you see like a ship shaped or something like that shape.
Well, yeah, it felt like it was a little bit like, you know, the sailboat sailing towards me, if you will. You know, with the S's kind of being a bit of sails, with like the inverted cross sort of as a mast in the middle. But that was just me projecting, obviously. But I figured, you know, there's too much nautical going on with you at any given time that there's no connection there. But anyways,
I don't know,
awesome.
it's coming automatically. I don't know why I'm so obsessed with this entire theme. I don't know.
Rips my skin. I am listening.
The previous album was a little bit also a celebration of the whole German scene, and with all the people that you guys had involved behind the scenes and as guests and so on. And with this, I want to ask you because you know, there seems to be a lot brewing again in like underground bursting open to the mainstream now in Germany. You know, just had a cool release by Venues. You guys are releasing a cool new band. One thing that, you know, from heavyweights like, you know, Caliban and Annisokay to yourselves, what all these bands seem to have in common, well, besides a, you know, an adoration for pink neon everywhere, but something that unites this German scene, it seems, and I know that Germany is a big country, is this, you know, not giving a shit about rules too much. Like all of these bands tend to not color within the lines, but, you know, embrace different influences, are not afraid to be poppy and colorful at certain times, not afraid to be extremely brutal when you don't necessarily expect it. What is it you think about this, you know, this German post-hardcore metalcore scene that refuses to play by the rules right now?
That's a cool question. My theory is that because Germany is a very strict country with a lot of rules and a lot of you know, paperwork and all that shit, and you can't do shit because police is around the corner like everywhere. Maybe it's like a little bit of like a riot feeling, like I'm gonna do whatever I want because this is art, and in Germany everything you label as art, you can do whatever the fuck you want. There was like, there are artists like, I don't know, taping a banana on a wall, and that's like art. Like you can label everything art. It's so insane, and maybe that's because we're so, you know, we grow up with so many rules and shit. But honestly, I don't know. For me personally, I don't give a shit about people's opinions, like, ever since. It's the way why I'm always wearing a hat. I don't know, you know? I really don't care. I honestly don't care. And this is the only place where you can really express yourself the way you want. There's no rules. You can go wherever you want the song to come out. Like, you're just gonna do it. And I personally, I would never label the band as metalcore or something, because I'm not even a metalhead myself. I only listen to rock and roll, and I'm a really like rockhead, I'd say, and not influenced by any metal stuff. And it shows in this album, in Bad Blood, because it does have way more punk structures and rock and roll patterns and all that, and poppy choruses, and yeah, maybe that's the case. Maybe that's the thing. Like we grow up with so many rules that we just don't give a shit, and we're really, really obsessed with melodies. And I don't know, I feel like the entire German music scene is very obsessed with writing cool music. They're very, very. There's so many good bands and single artists, whatever, who are very talented. I feel like that's the thing in Germany. There's very many good artists.
I mean, it is a big market. Some people tend to forget how big the German market is, especially for rock music, which is probably the second biggest market in the world right now behind the US. Interesting to see sometimes that, therefore, maybe for all the right reasons, a lot of bands, a lot of German bands, or from the Dach region, with Austria and Switzerland included, tend to also very much focus on that. A lot of content that is being created is in the German language, and it's very much focused on a German audience. But in today's world, technology allows you that music doesn't stop at borders anymore. So even if your tour starts, it's a German tour. The content you create to push or promote that tour is often in German and all that kind of good stuff. But are you sometimes surprised with knowing that the plan, if you want to call it that way, is to focus first and foremost on that home market? Does it then sometimes really surprise you to see that, well, because it's very easy on Spotify and YouTube and all these things to go like, oh, people are watching actually in Singapore or in Brasilia or whatever. Like, does that blow you away sometimes, that even with being so unapologetically German, that you got listeners all over?
Yeah, 100%. We just got a very negative comment from a German, I don't know, the gender, Nikolai told me. They commented under Lately, the song Lately on YouTube, they commented, there's no way so many international people are commenting under this video. You paid for it, and like all this stuff. Like, people are like, no way, they waited for you. Like, of course they didn't. But we're also signed by an international label, right? Of course,
Right.
They push in different directions. It's not only the German market. The German market is very important and interesting for ticket sales, of course.
Right.
Because we play here all the time, right? And this is why we sell tickets here. So, yeah, it's completely mind blown. We have I just saw the pre-order for the vinyl and the CDs for Bad Blood, and it's all over the world, like crazy. We have very, very many people from the States. We also have, I don't know, man, you name it, everywhere. It's like Australia. What the fuck? Yeah, like, we're still a small band. Like, why do you care about us even in the first place? That's sick. But as you already said, every huge American band, every huge Australian, whatever UK band is playing most of their European shows in Germany. It's everywhere. Like, German people are crazy about this genre, and that also helped us, of course, to push the band, because there's such a huge scene here, right? You can just even play an underground show and it will be sold out. Like 200 people who've never heard of you before. This was their first show here in Cologne. Nobody heard of us before. Didn't even release any music. We just played there, 200 people. Like, what? Like, they just go out and just listen to the music and celebrate it. And that's beautiful. It was very cool. But yeah, of course it's surprising. It's sick. Like, from the States, like, how do you even have heard of us?
Yeah.
Scream my fucking lungs out. Then I woke up from the dream, but couldn't shake it off.
You mentioned that song Lately, and I want to ask about that song specifically because, it stands out because it is a little bit less intense than some of the other songs, and that just kind of naturally creates a vibe when you're listening to the full album that, oh, this is different, and therefore it must be important. It must be special. I have to listen extra carefully. This to me feels like an important song for you. Is there some truth to that? Given that it is a little bit more cleaner, it's very easy to listen what you say. It's you quote unquote go almost naked from a musical perspective in that song. There's very few places to hide behind big screams or what have you. Is there truth to that? Is that a special song?
Yeah, definitely. So the thing with Lately is I wrote the chorus for Lately about 3 years ago, and I had it on my computer for 3 years. And then when I wrote the album with our producer Julian Broika, I always sent him all my ideas, all my choruses, everything. And I had this on my PC, and I was thinking, I don't know if I'm gonna send it over. It doesn't really fit, but I sent it anyway. And I was like, I don't know if it really fits. I told him, and he was like,
Mhm.
you shut up. You just let me work. It's perfect. It fits perfectly. And then he built this version around it, which was, I just recorded with an acoustic guitar, and I
Right.
had no real picture of it. And I sat down, and I was like, it fits, because if you think about it, you're not always in a constant mood, right? You're not always aggressive. You're not always sad. You're not, I don't know, in a good mood. It's the same thing with this record, because it is, again, written so personally, almost like a diary, that it's important, even in my position as a sick person dealing with depression for so many years, to stay true to myself, to stay honest to the people who appreciate my honesty in the lyrics, to bring out a song which, again, reflects my fight with depression. And yeah, of course it is, I don't know, it's very intimate, it shows a very vulnerable side, because as you already said, it's very easy to shout, to be tough, to act cool, to be like, oh, you can bring me down, whatever. But no person in the entire world is like that all the time. Maybe you are at some point, like maybe for 2 hours or something like that, and after that you go stage and you break down completely and you're self-doubting, whatever. And when I got the final version, I was like, yeah, it fits. I was thinking about even releasing it, but when I heard it, I was like, it's so true. And it's very, it just fits the vibe, because it's just honest. And I believe that once it's authentic and honest, people will like it and understand it, because it's true.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's how Lately came up.
From this boy that's chasing
It's a journey, and you're going to be, preparing that journey right now, because I'm going to let you go so you can finally join your bandmates and start rehearsing for this show, or this tour that's starting in 2 days from now. Jules, I appreciate that you took the time in your extremely hectic schedule to still have a chat with me. I look forward to seeing you on a stage, and I hope that will happen this year. I wish you all the best with this release cycle, man.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. So next time it's not going to take 2 years, I hope. Next time, maybe 1 year or something. And you're always invited to our guest list, of course. So let me know if we're near you.
Awesome. I hope to cross paths with you in Europe this year. And, I'll keep my fingers crossed for North American shows to be announced. Because if you have so many fans pre-ordering in North America, you just have to come out here. It's simple.
Okay, you say. So I will talk to our booking agent about that.
Yeah, there you go. Just, jump in and out, 1 weekend, visas are only $100 million anyway. So awesome. All right. Well, have a wonderful time, and I wish you all the best on this run of shows and the release of the album.
Thank you so much.
You are awesome for watching this video. Click right here to see more content like it and subscribe to the channel.